I'm Jessica. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Madison.
Hi, Madison.
I'm Aisha.
Hi, Aisha. How are you doing?
Good.
So what brings you in today?
Oh, I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe you can tell her, because
You can start.
your idea.
I don't want to talk right now, so you can start
Well,
that
you know what?
conversation.
We're like, this is the place to do it. Like, if we can't talk at home, we can't. Like, we came here for a reason. It's like, what's the point? We could just be doing this back at the house then. Like, we're paying all this money. Like.
So let me just start with a brief question. So whose idea was it to come here today?
Hers.
It's my idea.
What is your idea? Okay.
Well, the reason behind that is just because we're a couple, and actually I can't talk with her since when I open discussion or conversation with her, she's being upset and screaming to me, and she's not good listener, as well as she's not good talker. I can't, I can't open discussion with her anymore, and yeah.
So you feel
So
like
when I talk to her, she's just having her cell phone and like what you see now.
Hey, Madison, I just wanted to ask you do you think maybe we could possibly not use cell phones just for a little while during the session?
Just give me 1 second.
Sure. All right. Why don't we take a break for a second, finish up what you're doing, and then we can kind of resume. Is that all right?
Yep.
She's always
Okay.
doing that with me when I open the conversation with her.
It can be kind of tough when you don't feel listened to. I think that's a pretty common problem people come into therapy with, is one partner or maybe both partners not feeling listened to. Let me know when you're all set.
All right, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, I'm busy. I have people from work calling me all the time, and she doesn't get it. She thinks I'm just like screwing around on my phone all the time. It's like, no, I actually have a job that, is kind of important. And I know she doesn't think that I am, she doesn't think that my job is that great, but it's pretty important because people call me all the time, even on my days off. So clearly I'm needed, which she doesn't need me. Then I'm gonna, appreciate the fact that these other people need me. And
It sounds like you're pretty upset right now.
I
What are you
am.
feeling? What's going through your head?
I'm just frustrated because I feel like this was, I don't know, it breaks my heart to say this sometimes, but I just wish I could like go back in time and, I don't know, like when I first met her, it was great. It was like the honeymoon phase lasted for like a few years. But where we are now, it's like I'm not happy.
All right.
I don't know, I think our relationship has been changed, maybe because of our environment. I think that
Yeah.
so I think that some of our our relationship has been changed because maybe something had changed in our environment. Huh?
Okay. You know what? So
Yeah,
it seems like
because even
should-
though we have, yeah, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
So it seems like you guys both have some kind of different ideas about why you came into therapy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I kind of, depending on whoever I see, sometimes kind of the issues will come out naturally, organically, and it'll kind of become pretty clear why two people came to therapy together as a couple. But I'm kind of getting some different vibes from both of you right now. So what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, is kind of go through a little questionnaire and just kind of try and figure out a little more clearly what brought you in. So, how did you meet as a couple?
At Barnes & Noble, right? Wasn't it Barnes & Noble, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the Starbucks inside Barnes & Noble. I was getting a coffee, and then she was sitting over on the table reading. I forget what you were reading. I think she was reading something really artsy and really difficult, because she was an English major. So, Oh my God, what was it? maybe like the Odyssey, and I like was really like kind of impressed by that because it's like not a hard. So by her just like reading that in like such like a leisurely way, I was just like, you must be really smart, and that really drew me to her, and she is. She's a lot smarter than I am. You know, I didn't really.
What makes you say that?
I didn't graduate college. She graduated like top of her class, like, you know, like her parents are very conservative, like always have these high expectations for like, her grades. Like I'm sure that, if she had got anything lower than like an A-, they would be upset. So like we're complete opposites in that sense. Like, I'm sorry, am I babbling?
It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm glad you're talking.
So,
I'm glad you're kind of getting
well, yeah,
into
no,
things.
because thinking about that day at Starbucks, this is like now all like everything's kind of coming back now, and I'm just like having all these thoughts. No,
it's kind of be hard to get back to that moment, and then once you do, kind of it all comes out.
Yeah, no, so I don't know. It's just like, yeah, what drew me to her was the fact that she was so smart. But then when I think about like our parents, it's like, like my parents are like the free-spirited, like tree-hugging hippies who like just like love everything, like, and like they've always been supportive of me. Like I came out to them when I was like 14, literally, and they were just like, woo, like party, like they, I mean anybody else, like any other parents, like I have friends who came out at that age, and their parents were always like, that's just a phase, and like,
So you're saying in
out.
general your parents have been pretty supportive of your relationship?
Yeah. I mean my parents are very like, like they're not all that like serious. They're just very like I said, they're very free-spirited, like kind of fun-loving. Like they don't take life seriously at all, which is good. But her parents are like the complete.
I know.
Complete opposite.
That's what I mean.
So Aisha, why don't you tell me a little bit about what your parents are like?
Oh my God. So.
Because the parent seems to be kind of, I'm sensing there's maybe an issue in the relationship with parents. So
they're fucking assholes.
Okay. Let's let Aisha kind of tell her story a little bit.
She's gonna defend them, by the way. Like she's gonna like be
well,
like.
That's what I mean when
that's if she wants to, whatever she wants to say about her parents.
But how can she? But here's my whole thing. But how can you be
Let me express my feeling first.
Madison, hold up 1 second. Why don't we just let Aisha talk about her parents for a minute, and then after she's done saying what she needs to say.
Alright, well I'm just gonna keep thinking these thoughts, and then I'm just gonna
like. It's after she finishes, then you can feel more than free to express whatever you want to feel. It's definitely a safe space for both of you, and I wanted you to have your chance to say what you need to say, and Aisha can have her chance, and then we can kind of come back together.
That's the problem that I have with her, that I can't talk to her. She's like blocked now.
Why don't we talk about the parents for a minute, and then we can kind of come back together.
Yeah, as I said, our relationship was fantastic since it was secret, and then when I just told my parents, our relationship changed. So because my parents is really like serious parents, they just expect a high grade from me, they just expect to be nice person with people, they just expect high expectation for me. So when I told them that I'm being lesbian, that's like make them frustrated, and they just make them being crazy, and their health.
So they're not happy that you came out as a lesbian.
They're not happy like I'm being a lesbian, and they just want me to be a straight person and married and have kids, and they will be happy to be grandparents. And,
how does that feel for you, knowing that your parents don't really approve of such a big part of your life? What does that feel like for you?
Well, that make my life like controlled by them. Like I don't like, I'm now over 18, and I don't like the fact that
so you guys are young. How old are you?
Well, I'm 21, but I'm over.
Madison, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay. So you guys are a pretty young couple.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of pressure on some young people. Aisha, what was your upbringing, it sounds like, was pretty strict and had a lot of high expectations and...
Yeah, so, I don't know, I feel some pressure from my parents. I feel she doesn't want me anymore, she doesn't listen to me, she's not cooperative, she doesn't love me anymore. So I think like my life now is unplanned. I don't have any plan for future.
That must be really tough. I know that one thing that I think people are kind of taught across cultures throughout life is, you know, the 5-year plan or the 10-year plan, and what kind of people want to do, and there's always this pressure to kind of know what you're doing next, what your next step is. So I think that feeling of like not being listened to and the feeling of just not knowing what's coming next must be really stressful for you.
Yeah, and also I don't know how to change my parents' mind. I don't know how to, make them accept the fact that I am lesbian, and I just want them to change their point.
Okay. You know, Madison, something interesting. I heard you mention before Aisha started talking that you felt that she was going to defend her parents. Do you feel like what she just said now is kind of defending them?
Not necessarily, but at the same time, I just, like, I get, like, that she's always going to have respect for her parents. I get, like, I'm not really, realistically, I'm not saying that she should be, like, lashing out at them, because I mean, I know I'm a rational person. I know that that's not really going to solve the problem, but at the same time, I just wish that she would, like, kind of step up and be more assertive with them and just, like, really straight up tell them, like, listen, this is who I am, and, and so that's the thing. Like, yeah, no, I don't think that she's really, like, defending them necessarily and making them out to be the best parents in the world. But
do you feel like she doesn't really
Because if it were my
stick up
parents,
for it enough?
because if it were, like, my parents, like, I would just, like, stick up my middle finger at them and just be like, you guys are assholes, and I would just be like, I kind of wish that she would just, like, separate herself from that. Like, I wish that we could just, like, we were talking about moving and getting an apartment. Like, I would love to go, like, move to the West Coast or something, like, move to California, but she doesn't want to leave her parents.
Yeah.
And, like, like, my parents, like, it would be hard for me to leave them, too, but, like.
Well, so what did I do with my parents from
so
your...
something
Yeah.
I notice is that you guys seem to really have completely different experiences with your parents. Your experience, Aisha, is more feeling kind of controlled by them, kind of feeling like there's all these expectations you have to meet. In Madison, it feels like you almost have the opposite experience. There aren't really a lot of expectations, kind of free-spirited. You have an open relationship with them. They've always been accepting of you being, do you identify as lesbian, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So they're pretty accepting of that. So I think one thing that's kind of important to remember is that no matter how we feel about our parents, whether we like them or don't like them or have a good relationship or don't, we're really shaped in a lot of ways by what we saw at home. So, not only the expectations they had for each of you, but their own relationships probably has kind of a big effect on how you each see your own relationships. So I think I completely understand Madison, that wish that she would maybe stand up a little more and separate herself. But I think coming from the kind of background that she comes from, where there's a lot of expectations and attachment and kind of, control of what's supposed to happen in her life, I would think it might be pretty hard for Aisha to think about that. Have you ever talked to her before about that wish of yours, that she might kind of separate herself a little bit, take a next step forward?
Yeah, I guess I've talked, like, in a sense, yeah, I guess we've touched upon it, but I haven't really, I don't know, it's just, like, the thing, like, I just wish that, it's hard to explain. Like, I know my parents are, like, really, like, extreme, like, see, the thing with her, and she says to me all the time, like, my parents are, like, so, like, extremely, like, liberal. It's, like, almost, like, they're just so, like, there's open-minded, but then there's, like, open-minded. Like, my parents just are not shy about just anything. Like, I mean, honestly, like, so.
Seems like you're struggling to get some words out right now.
Yeah, because I just don't know, like, how to use my words sometimes. That's why.
Would you say, when you guys have discussions together, would you say that, which one of you is the person who kind of, how do your conversations and your conflicts look like? Is one of you more the aggressor, or the one who starts the conversation, and one who pulls back? Like,
I think I start the conversation, but then it gets but then I think I rev her up, though. Like, I think that I think that she has that demeanor, and you can tell, like, she's very cool, collect, and I'll kind of start the conversation, and my intent is to be very, you know, kind of just calm and cool about it, like very like rational. Like anytime I want to talk to her, it's like I don't just like blurt things out randomly, like in the grocery store or like when we're out doing an errand. Like, you know, I'm literally like, hey, Aisha, like we really just need to sit down and talk, and we sit down on the couch, and I make sure that we have like the, you know, the time. And
that's a really good tool that you use.
Yeah, it is.
That can be tough for a lot of couples.
Yeah, but at the same time, I fly off the handle, and then I'll initiate the conversation, and then based on her response, I feel like I'm not getting the answers and the responses that I want from her, so that kind of starts revving me up, because I think I just want to hear her say what I want her to say, and then when she's not, I just start like getting super like flustered and abrasive, and I escalate the
So you're
thing.
looking for a certain response, and when you don't get it, you get revved up, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Aisha, how do you feel about, you know, kind of how those conversations go? Is that generally pretty accurate? She'll start a conversation and you'll respond? How do you see the kind of conflicts or conversations that you have?
No, when I just start conversation with her, she just, okay, we are sitting in the sofa and we doing well, but, you know, she doesn't want to finish the conversation with me, and she starts to be angry, and, you know, she starts to be yelling. And
how do you respond?
I couldn't talk with her anymore. We just finished the conversation.
So what is it, do you notice, Aisha, a specific thing that you might say or do that would, I'm not trying to make this anyone's fault, but what I'm trying to get to is Madison, you know, had said, you know, I'm calm and cool, and then Aisha, you don't respond the way she wants, and then Madison gets angry. So what is that response that might be contributing to some of that blowing up?
I don't know, I think she's like, I don't know, I have no idea why she's like being angry so much at that moment.
You have an idea, you just don't.
No, I don't know, because I'm talking like, I prepare the environment and sit down together and have candle and, you know, start to, you know, talking together, and you just, in the middle of the conversation, you just being angry. I don't like that. I just want to.
Well, I don't like when you just give me one-word answers and just kind of like dodge the questions and that I'm asking you, and you just kind of tiptoe and dance around everything, and you're not like you're not giving me anything to work with. Like, I'm telling you about how, I don't know, how I'm unhappy because, alright, this sounds really selfish, but, you know, I have a lot of friends who are gay, you know, and a lot of things come up, like with our conversations, like we're always talking about, I mean, being gay. Like, we just like talk about our experiences with it, and we talk about, you know, like how we came out and like what happened. And okay, I'm just gonna say, I haven't really even said this to her, and I maybe should have, but my friends criticize me about the fact that I'm in a serious relationship with somebody whose parents just are totally not supportive. And, you know, all of them have experiences where, like, you know, them and their significant others, it's like their families are all together and everybody's happy and stuff, and I feel like the odd one out. Like, and I'm not saying it's your fault, and that's the thing I keep going back to. Like, I think you think that I'm saying that it's your fault. It's not your fault that your parents, like, have these views, and I understand. Hold on, let me finish. All right, let me finish.
Let's talk.
Okay, but you know.
So do you have ideas just to, you know, convince them about our relationship?
What you just said, if we can just pause, Madison, for a second. What you just said was, I mean, I'm glad that you felt safe saying it here, and I think it's important to remember this is a safe space for everyone. So I want, Aisha, it seems like you have kind of a reaction to what she just said. How did that make you feel to hear that?
Yeah, I just asked her for help a lot of times just to know how to deal with my parents and how to deal with them, but...
You asked me for help on how to deal with them?
Well, how to convince them at least to go, me and you, to them and convince them at some point.
I don't have that power, though. Like, you think, okay, especially me, like, you think, like, you're their daughter, like, they, you know, you have more of...
Okay, even if you will not go with me, just give me a tip, so then I can, you know, just cooperate with me about our relationship.
But what makes you think that they're gonna, like, you're their daughter, like, if anything, you have more power with them, like, with me, like, they know that I, like, never went to college, they think I'm, like, scum of the earth, like, what makes you think that they would listen to me, like, with my, like, when they met my parents for the first time, they were like,
let's pause for
Or
a
a
second.
guy.
At least give me a step so then I can tell them. Give me something so then I can prove to them that we are a good couple,
Let
or
me,
change their mind about lesbian and gay.
But you know what?
Or
I don't think that
LGBT
we're-
environment. Like, just tell me.
I just don't.
You know.
I don't have that answer
Can
though.
I pause you guys for 1 second? Because I noticed something really important that's happening here. I know it seems pretty tense, but so when we started off the session, Madison, I noticed you were on your phone, and Aisha seemed pretty pissed. And you said, well, my work needs me. People at my work are calling me all hours of the day. Aisha doesn't need me, and so sorry that people need me. And you seem kind of, I don't want to say like defensive, but you seem pretty adamant that it's important to you to feel needed and to be of use. And what I heard Aisha say was that, as far as the parents go, and her parents, it's a difficult situation for her. I heard her say that she sometimes asks you for help for how to deal with her parents.
But she asks me. Okay, I'm sorry. Finish. I'm going to try to stop interrupting.
That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I just wanted to kind of point out that that is a way, even if you don't know the answer, even if you don't have the solution. I just want you to kind of let it sink in for a second that she is asking you for help, even if you don't know the answer, and it's okay that you don't. Do you think that that's a way that she needs you?
I mean, I guess so, but at the same time, I just feel like it's such an unrealistic thing for you to ask me, because it's like what I want to feel needed by, like, I don't know. It's just, I just feel like it's such like an unattainable thing for you to ask me for advice on how to like get your parents to change their minds about our relationship, because it's just like they're just not going to. They're just not. I mean, that's it. Like they have their feelings about it, and then that's it. So I just feel like I just want you to ask me to help you and do things for you, but that are reasonable and attainable and achievable.
Aisha, do you think there's any hope that your parents might eventually come around to the relationship more?
I don't know. I think she should, help me about our relationship in one way or another. Even if she will not talk to them, at least give me, some ways so then I can so then they can cooperate with me. Unless she will just want to break up with me because she doesn't want the relationship anymore.
I'm not hearing
But
Madison
that's what
say
you
she
think
wants
about.
to break up.
I don't know.
No,
Maybe
I don't. No, I don't want to break up with you. Like, I wouldn't be here. Like, if I wanted to break up with you, I wouldn't have like driven like 2 hours to get here. Okay, it wasn't 2 hours, but like we wouldn't have sat in traffic for 2 hours
Okay.
to like go to.
So why you don't help me with that? At least cooperate with me. At
How
least
do you
give me
think?
some ways.
How do you see Madison being able to help you with the situation with your parents? Like, if you were to have this perfect situation where you say, "Hey, Madison, can you help me with this with my parents?" What would she do in that ideal world?
Well, as she said, just those are your parents, and you know how to deal with them. But any couples that they can help at least with ideas.
Right,
She
but her
didn't.
parents
When I
don't
just
even-
opened
but see,
the
the thing that you're
conversation
not
with her, she
seeing,
doesn't.
the things that you're not seeing though, or maybe you do and you're just not thinking about them right now, but I have tried to reach out to her parents before. I have like, I've been over her house and like, I've been like, welcomed into the home, but not in like a way that's like, oh, come on in, like let me make you some dinner. It's just been like, I've dropped by and like they just haven't said anything.
Okay.
Like I tried to like, add her mom on Facebook and stuff, like she completely rejected me, like just declined my request. So I just feel like it's so unattainable for her to like, well, first of all, it's not attainable for them to change their minds, period, point blank. But that like I can't get through to them in any way. I can't even get through to them by like, I mean, I don't even know if I could like say hey to them from like across like the street and that they would say hi to me back. So I just feel like what you're asking me to like sit down and have like this like deep like like existential like meaningful conversation with them, like, oh, like me and Aisha are great together, and like that, and that they're gonna
So
be.
Madison, what I'm hearing you say is that it's really been hard for you so far to have even like those surface level interactions.
Yeah.
Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, and she knows that, and she's like dancing around it. Like she forgets that like about that time that like that what I was telling her that I was upset when I tried to reach out to your mom on Facebook and she declined, like rude. That's really rude and that hurt me. And like when I came into your house, like yeah, like I was able to go into the house, but I just was not acknowledged. It was like I didn't exist.
Because of those, would it be kind of accurate to say that because of those maybe more surface interactions that's hard for you to imagine having a serious conversation? Because if those little rejections are happening, you know, what would that big conversation look like?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what do you want? Like, you really want me to like drive to your house, knock on the door, and be like, oh, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like, do you want, like, can we just sit down and talk about why me and Aisha have, like, this perfect relationship and how you should accept us and change the views that you've had about sexuality for your entire lives? I mean, like, that, it's just stuff like that, like,
so
come on.
From your own perspective, what do you want me to say to my parents so then they can accept that? Just
I mean, I don't know if there's anything that we can say at this
That's
point.
what I said. What can I do with my parents?
I mean, they should know, it should be common.
This problem. Do you have any
See, my
solution
whole
for
thing is
that?
there shouldn't
Instead
be.
of talking to them?
My whole thing is that we shouldn't have to convince, like, bottom line, they should just be able to see us as a happy couple who love each other and support each other and want to have a good life together. We're both good people. We both work hard. We don't do drugs. None of us got, like, knocked up or any, like, you know. So I feel like this one, like, she did everything that she was supposed to do, like, for that family.
That must feel pretty difficult for you, because as we mentioned before, you kind of had really different upbringings. So
yeah.
It sounds like
my parents used to go streaking. Like,
oh gosh. It sounds like, in a way, I'm hearing some pain from you, that you hurt for her, that she's put all this effort in to please her parents and done all the things that were expected of her. It sounds like you have pride in her, that of all the accomplishments she's made, and also that you're kind of hurting for her a little bit too, because she's got this experience of being kind of a success story of a person, a model child, and now she's got parents who can't accept the relationship. How does that feel for you?
Wow, you're good.
I'm just going off what you guys are telling me, that's all.
I mean, I would have never been able to, like, muster up that kind of, you know, that sort of, what's the word? Theory, I guess. Like, I mean,
it sounds painful for both of you guys. It really does. It sounds like it's a hard situation. You're both in pain.
It just breaks my heart, because it's like, clearly they did a phenomenal job, like, raising her. I mean, clearly, you know, I mean, you were, like, this straight-A student, like, valedictorian, like, a good part, like, volunteered everywhere, like, back in high school, like, just, like, you were just, I think, every parent's dream child. And so, and clearly, you know, that shows that your parents did an amazing job raising you. But yeah, it just breaks my heart that they're kind of retracting that now. And like, they did do a good job raising you, but I feel like they think that because you're gay, that maybe they didn't, maybe they failed. That's the impression I get from them. I honestly feel like they think that I have this gay daughter, so what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong?
Let me talk to Aisha for a little bit. So what she's saying, how have your interactions been with your parents? Have you had conversations with them about you being lesbian? What do they say? What are their feelings?
Well, first, when they know that I'm a lesbian, they just being upset and angry to me, and they didn't talk to me for a while. And then I came to the house again and bring some, you know, some books with me about being lesbian and how does that affect, you know, how does that, you know,
how were they receptive to reading the
book? So they love reading. They read those books, but they didn't believe it.
Okay.
So the problem is, it's not from our culture, it's not from our beliefs, so they didn't think that is accurate.
So they thought maybe the books are, well, they're good for someone else, but they're not good for us, type of feeling?
Yeah, and they just want me to be straight and, you know, get married and have kids and have normal life, but they didn't believe in that, so they will not accept our relationship.
So
maybe we need to keep it secret for a while.
Well, I think at this point, I mean, I understand the need to keep it secret, but it sounds like the cat's out of the bag, so to speak. It sounds like your parents know about the relationship. There's really no way to kind of put that back in the bottle once it's out. you know, it can be really difficult having that disapproval, especially since you were raised in such a strict family. What, have there been any additional, like, conversations with your parents about it since then? How do they react when you guys are together with them? How often does that happen?
Yeah, sometimes they know, sometimes I go with her, but without their, without telling them.
Mhm.
So
So do they know that you're a couple?
yeah,
Okay.
they know we're lesbian, but they didn't accept this idea.
Okay.
They didn't accept it yet, but I'm trying to help them to accept this idea. I'm trying to help them to, to change those ideas.
So I get a really good picture of kind of how your relationship is with your parents based on, at least with the part of, you having a lesbian relationship. It's obviously not something they approve of. And I want to get an idea of how that affects your relationship with Madison. Like, I know we've talked a lot about how this hurts, but how does it affect you? How do you feel about that? Your parents not approving?
I don't know, I think she doesn't think to have the relationship between us. Even if she didn't say it, but I just feel it. Since my parents is restrict, parents, and she just want someone who can, fulfill her needs. I don't know, I think this issue affect our relationship, and this issue, makes a lot of feelings toward me, which is in negative ways. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely sense how much this is affecting you guys as a couple. It seems like family is pretty important to each of you in different ways. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah. I think
How
my
about,
relationship with my family regarding this issue affected our relationship in one way or another.
So I think one of the biggest difficulties, whether it's a lesbian or a straight or gay relationship, when there's a big cultural divide and there's something that's not approved of. Like, for example, I have clients who, one of them grew up very Catholic and the other one grew up very liberal Jewish. And the couple is boyfriend and girlfriend, and they lived together prior to getting married, and she just got pregnant. So as you might imagine, Catholic parents are not super happy with that, and they're coming in to see me and kind of talk about that issue. So it can be really a huge divide when you want that family support and don't have it. And unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do to change other people. They have to want to change. And Aisha, I really commend your efforts for, explaining to them, being patient with them, giving them books, still interacting with them. It must be painful for you, and it sounds like you're really giving over a lot of effort to that. And Madison, from everything I've heard you say, it sounds like it really affects you a lot too, and it must, since it puts so much pressure on the relationship. What about Aisha and Madison? What about how Madison's parents view you? How much time do you spend with them? What are those interactions like?
Oh, let me tell you, they were like, gosh, I think that they threw like a big part, like when I brought her like home for the first time, like they like invited like all my other family members, like my aunts and uncles. It was like, oh, like, Madison's bringing a girl back, like. They're not even phased, like didn't even have to tell anybody that like she was a girl. Like at that point I wasn't even out to everybody in my family yet. But like, which was fine because they're all just the same. They're all just like whatever. Yeah, like I mean, they remember that night where they just like we had a barbecue and like my dad, like it was like an open bar basically. Like my dad was like bartending all night. Like they literally like just treated her like she was a celebrity. Like that's just the way they are. They're so.
Yeah.
Like
That's
they love
pretty
her.
supportive.
Yeah, they're like, oh, where'd you get that one? Because they knew that like I
Yeah.
always was. They knew that I was always like kind of like I struggled in school and I wasn't really like I got by, but I never really did anything
So your
like
parents,
notable.
sounds like, are really happy with Aisha.
Yeah, they were like, you got like I mean, when they found out like she was valedictorian, when they found out like the kind of job she had, she makes all this money, they were like, wow, how'd you reel that one in? Like, you of all people, they thought I was going to end up with some like straggler, like probably on the street, like bottom of the barrel, like. So, no, they, like, that's the thing, and that's just what makes it so hard, I think, like, just the such the opposing dynamics. And
Aisha, how do you feel about her parents?
I love them, and I love the
Mhm.
fact that they are supportive for our relationship.
Mhm.
yeah, no, I mean, thank
Yeah.
God for that, because like,
Yeah.
what would we do? We'd probably be.
Yeah, at least one side is supportive.
So, you know,
For our
I'm
relationship.
noticing here, obviously, and this is, you know, kind of a no-brainer, when there's something as stressful as that parental disapproval, it can take a huge strain on the relationship. But I'm noticing you've got one side that's super supportive and one side that's just not supportive at all. But I'm hearing a whole lot of kind of conflict over that fact that your parents aren't supportive of your relationship or of you being gay. But since your parents are so accepting and so loving, and you love them and they love you, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be, at least for a short-term solution, to kind of maybe take the pressure off the issue with Aisha's parents. How would that feel if you guys were to take, because it seems like it's coming up frequently in your relationship, how about if you were to take maybe a month break of not worrying about Aisha's parents, knowing their view isn't going to change in a month. They're not going to suddenly open arms and just say, hey, this is great, you're gay. How about if you were to take a month and just not talk about that issue and just focus on you guys, focus on your goals, spend time with Madison's family, enjoy that acceptance and love? What do you think would change during that time in your relationship? How would you see things, your interactions being a little different?
I don't know. I mean, there's still other stuff. Like, yeah, like our parents have been like kind of the big issue.
Mhm.
But there's still other stuff that like kind of comes up with us. Like I get what you're saying, but that's not like our only problem.
Okay.
I mean, like I know that I get really, really amped up sometimes when I'm trying to communicate, and that's something I've always had trouble with. Like I get very overly passionate about what I'm talking about, and sometimes it kind of takes away from her being able to get a word in. And I get that, and I've admitted that. Like that's the thing, I'm able to admit my flaws. Like sometimes with you, like you think that like I think that I'm like perfect, and then I can never admit when I'm wrong. I feel like I admit when I'm wrong a lot. Like yeah, like
you seem pretty
don't.
self-deprecating in this session, so.
I know. I don't know.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
I know.
I just mean.
I know. Well, and like yeah, like I don't put the cap back on the toothpaste sometimes. Yes, I leave my hair in the drain. I'm not on top of laundry like you are.
I think that's a lesbian 101 sin.
Yeah.
Leaving the hair in the drain.
Yep. Yep. So, it's annoying. Like and I can tell that she gets annoyed. But the problem is, I would rather Aisha just be upfront with me about stuff like that, rather than. The problem is that she lets things kind of build up. Like, she doesn't say what's on her mind right away. Like, yeah, tell me when, like, if you're pissed that I left a clump of hair in the drain. Like, she waits for it to happen, like, over the course of, like, a few months, and then she tells me. And she tells me at, like, really, like, I think inappropriate times. Like, at the grocery store. If we're out, like, with friends, like, at dinner, you're just like, oh, like, by the way, like, just... like she just brings up something and it's just like right time, right place.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always wait until like we have like a few hours to kill and like we're just like sitting on the couch or maybe we'll be grabbing lunch somewhere downtown or whatever. But that's I don't know. So yeah, it's stuff like that. I feel like I'm very like I talk a lot. See, in this relationship, I'm the chatty one. If you couldn't really already tell, I'm really chatty. I'm overly vocal about like my needs and what I want, and I feel like you don't speak up enough. And I think that you should. I think that you need to like advocate for yourself in life. Like, see, the thing with you is that like yes, she's been like this perfect like little angel, like overachiever her entire life, but the problem is that like she lets people walk all over her and she doesn't stand up for herself, and I don't like that. And I think
let me stop you for a
Do you think there
second.
is reason that I didn't talk? Maybe because you are being angry and screaming and you didn't listen to me. That's why I avoided talking to you.
Let me just
Maybe
stop
that's the
for
reason.
1 second. I noticed you said that she doesn't bring up problems a lot, and that when she does, kind of, maybe not to your liking in terms of the time or place, and that I remember exactly the words you said, that she should be more vocal. Aisha, how do you feel about your own level of like bringing problems up and how often you do it? Do you feel pretty comfortable with the way you bring up problems? Do you feel like it's enough for you, or do you feel like you're holding back sometimes?
Sometimes I'm holding back, but sometimes I just want to talk to her, but I find that it's really difficult to talk to her.
Tell me
even
how
if
it
it's
feels when you're
appropriate.
holding things back. Like, what kind of emotions does that cause in you when you feel like you have to hold back because you know how Madison's going to respond?
Well, that makes me sad and upset that
Mhm.
I can't talk to my partner.
Mhm.
If I talk to her, she wouldn't listen to me.
When you feel that way, when you feel that she won't listen to you, does that make you want to talk to her more or less?
Less.
Okay.
And that's
So-
why I didn't talk to her that much.
So it
just
sounds
because
like,
of her reaction towards
from
me.
what Aisha's saying, is that sometimes the way you react to her makes that harder for her to be open and talk to you. How does that make you feel to hear that?
I guess bad.
Aisha, what if you could kind of get things to a perfect place, just this like ideal place where Madison would respond exactly how you want her to every time. Not realistic, but just kind of an imaginary situation. Let's say there was hair in the drain, big clump of hair in the drain, and it was annoying you over months and months, and you wanted to talk to her about it. What would the ideal situation look like? How would you bring it up, and how would she respond? And it would work perfectly for you.
So how to bring the situation to her and to tell her how
Yeah,
the
I
hair
want to
in the
know
drain.
what would work for you. Because it sounds
Mm.
like Madison knows what works for her, but I want to know what works for you.
Just tell her that.
Okay, but would you set aside time to tell her? Or would you bring it up, like she said, maybe at dinner with friends or out in the grocery store? Would you make it a private conversation?
Maybe it's a private conversation between me and her, but in appropriate way and appropriate time.
Okay. And when you told her, you know, Madison, I'm really pissed that you're leaving hair in the drain. I don't like it. It clogs the drain. I have to fix it. How would Madison respond, ideally, to you? Not how she actually responds, but what do you need to hear to feel good about that?
At least okay, so then she can clean it up and then she will not do it again.
Okay.
At least she knows that is really annoying.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you want Madison to acknowledge the problem, so acknowledge that it's causing a problem,
Yeah.
and to understand that it bothers you,
Mhm.
and to not do it again. So it sounds like there's 3 components to that.
Yeah, but
One is that she's acknowledging it. 2, that she's understanding how it makes you feel. And 3, that she's learning from that mistake. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Mhm.
Okay. I want to take a little bit of a break, kind of
Okay.
give you guys a breather, mentally, physically.
That's great.
And then
You
we
wanna
can
get a
kind of
pig?
come back and talk about a little more about how we can get you guys on a better page of communication. Okay?
That's great. I need that break.
Okay, I think we all do. Alright.
Okay.
We can stop it and we can just do a new video.
It's okay.
You want to leave it on?
Yeah, leave it on and then come back and finish it. It's 43 minutes.
Okay.
Would you like to do that?
In case we talk or something. Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Just tell me, do you wanna turn it off and then
I don't know, what do
come
you
back
guys
open
think?
it?
I mean, mine can't stop. But like then again,
Alright.
but we still have that one.
Yours
but-
can't stop?
No, I
Okay.
can't stop. That's alright. I mean,
Okay.
I clearly haven't been getting my sweets quota lately. I'm like all over these things right now. Yeah, she said, yep.
Oh, you ready? The lady at your front desk gave me some munchkins.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on one second. Let me just close this door.
Okay.
My white noise machine is broken. Need to make sure we have privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a really beautiful day out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we get off the heavy stuff for a minute? I want to ask you guys about some kind of more fun things. So, what's your relationship like when it's good? Tell me about some of the things you like to do together. What do you enjoy?
You know,
Okay.
since I talk too much.
Okay. So, I like to walking together, and I like to, you know, yeah, going for a walk,
Mhm.
going for dinner.
What kind of food do you guys like to eat together?
Indian.
Indian
Ooh,
food, yeah.
Palak paneer is one of my favorite
I
foods.
know.
I could eat like naan bread
Mhm.
forever.
I make naan pizzas at home.
Oh, great.
Yeah, really yummy. What else?
And we like to travel.
Yeah, we've been to Greece.
Mhm. Oh
Yeah.
wow, exciting.
That was our first like big couples trip.
Mm-hmm.
We got kind of sick of each other. We went for like 2.5 weeks. We got really sick of each other by the end, but I think that's normal, right?
I think it's pretty normal. That's not uncommon, especially if you're traveling and you're kind of in close quarters and
Yeah.
don't have the usual distractions of work or school or whatever's going on. So what other kind of stuff, like, day to day? What's like a typical night like when you guys are just at home together? Do you watch TV together or
Watching movie.
movies?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
watch Netflix, Scandal,
Ooh.
House of Cards.
Also a good one. Nice. So it sounds like you guys have similar interests with TV or movies and things like that.
We have, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
for the most part. I'm like a freak about horror movies though. Like I love them, and she doesn't really like horror movies, but that's alright. I mean, whatever.
My partner absolutely loves sci-fi, and I couldn't be less interested in it. But he's gotten me into some of the space stuff, like Interstellar and things like that. It's funny when you have totally separate interests. You have to really. I like documentaries and
Yeah.
SVU and things like that. So you kind of have to merge those interests together. So would you guys say, when you're kind of doing those things, like walking together, say you're out to dinner, how do you feel during those things, and how do you feel afterwards? Like, what are the emotions you're feeling?
I feel safe, happy, content. And then after, I feel about the same.
Okay.
But sometimes it just depends on what she does. Like, if she doesn't do anything to piss me off, then we're all good.
Okay. Aisha, how about you? How do you feel when you guys are doing something you really enjoy together?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel our relationship going forward. But sometimes, having some conflict.
Okay.
Like when you don't like. Here we go. Alright, I'm starting to get like.
Good job stopping yourself. I appreciate that. I just wanted to take a little bit of time because I know this is kind of an extended session today because it's our first session together. So I really wanted to make sure that we spend some time kind of focusing on the good stuff too, because sometimes when a couple gets to the point where they're coming into therapy, there can be so much going on that's negative,
Yeah.
or that can kind of be the focus. And I think one thing that's really important to me as a counselor is to help people see the strengths in their relationship, kind of what makes them feel good. We can definitely get back into the harder parts, but we just took a little break. I want to try and get a good picture of what you guys are like when you're happy. So it sounds like you both feel pretty good when you're doing those kind of shared activities that you enjoy.
Again, when she doesn't do or say anything to piss me off.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sure you both irritate each other. Let's kind of steer away from that if you don't mind. So what Madison, what do you like about Aisha? What are her your favorite qualities about her?
She's smart, motivated, clean, organized. You know, just all there, you know, 'cause some chicks I've dated, like, well, back when I dated some guys too, like I used to, like back when I, you know, before I knew I was gay and I was dating guys for a while, like I used to like fall for the biggest scumbags and like they were just like horrible, ridiculous.
So it's nice to be with someone who's good to you,
Yeah.
who's a good person.
Yeah.
How does Aisha make you feel loved? What does she do to make you feel loved?
She cooks me dinner some nights when she knows I've had a long day at work. I come
That's
home and
nice.
there's like a hot meal. It's awesome.
That's really nice.
I mean, she's the primary breadwinner, so she usually picks up the check, which I'm grateful for because I don't make a lot of money. One of these nights, though, I'll take you somewhere nice. You know, I'll work some overtime. We'll go somewhere like, you know, like the Ritz-Carlton or something. Have dinner. She does my laundry, so that makes me feel loved. Because I don't really know how to do my laundry. I don't know how you put up with me sometimes. I'm like a child. I don't know. I feel like I can't do anything on my own. I feel like my parents were too like, my parents just like never made me do anything. Like they always did everything. So you know. But yeah, no. When she like does a lot of stuff for me, it makes me feel happy and content. So.
Aisha, what about you? What do you love most? What draws you to Madison?
She's honest person.
It's important.
Yeah. She loves to help people. She has really social skills that makes people love her.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can see that. You seem pretty outgoing.
Yeah.
In some ways.
So you have a big group of friends.
Yeah.
What else?
She's good at work.
How do you
Hard
know?
worker?
I don't know. But I think you are hard worker.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You said, how do you know that? That was your immediate response. Not thanks or wow, but how do you know that? That's interesting you responded that way. How did you feel when she said you're a hard worker?
I mean, because it's not like I mean, yeah, like I was saying earlier at the beginning of when we all first met, like I was saying how like, you know, people call me up at work all the time and like they're always expecting me to handle like their bullshit that they can't do on their own, and it sucks, but I'm like a supervisor over there, so it's like it all kind of falls on me when people call me because they don't know what to do. So maybe that's what she means, but it's not like I come home and I'm like yeah, like I work hard, like I never call out, I'm always on time, but no, I don't really share a lot of things that happen at work with her, so I just thought it was interesting that she said that.
Well, I know one thing I noticed is when Aisha, when we came in and, I'm sorry.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I put my feet down, sorry.
When we came in, you were both on your phones for a second, and she got off her phone and she said, oh, you know, you're still on your phone, blah, blah, blah. So I'm wondering if that, you know, Aisha notices your hard work, and I think maybe sometimes it can come out as a negative, you know, because you're on the phone dealing with work stuff, but it sounds like even if she's not expressing it to you all the time, she obviously notices how hard you work, you know? And I think sometimes the things that we like most about our partner we can, I don't want to say take for granted, although that's also true, but sometimes it's hard to express something that's both a positive and a negative in a good way. So I'm glad it was kind of eye-opening for you to hear her say that about being a hard worker. And Aisha, how does Madison make you feel loved?
sometimes she goes with me in the dinner, like she invited me for a fancy restaurant. And
Yeah, only if I pick up some overtime. Let's not
Yeah.
get ahead of ourselves. I mean, I know that I brought it up, but I mean, don't think it's gonna happen.
Anymore?
Well, no, I mean, don't, you know, it's not gonna happen next week. I mean, maybe next month. I
Well,
don't know,
maybe
we'll
when
see.
you want to make me loved, right? Okay.
So,
And
yeah.
also,
Yeah. Continue.
yeah.
I'm being really patient today. Normally I'm like, well, I don't know if you could say that. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I don't know. I feel like I'm doing better with this than I thought I would.
Okay.
But
I just wanna encourage, I agree, I just wanna encourage Aisha to kinda
Talk.
come up, yeah,
That's
to
what-
play some more things that you love about, that, how does she make you feel loved? I think it's important that we say this, that you guys each say it to each other, you know? Madison's had a few things, and
Sometimes she, arrange trip for us, so then we can go and refresh. And sometimes we go kayaking.
kayaking,
Yeah.
nice.
Sometimes,
What about,
it
now
depends. It
those are
depends
all,
on her mood that time.
those are all really good things, I noticed, but I noticed a lot of what you're saying are kinda like some of the activities you do together. Does Madison, like, what ways does she show you she loves you, like physical affection, or buying you gifts, or like spending quality time together? What are the things, the qualities, those things that she does? What's
maybe
most important?
buying a gift.
Okay.
Sometimes when I get sad from her, she's starting to buying a gift for me, and then my mood is increased at that moment. So
yeah, it's interesting.
she knows that I love gifts.
There's a book that's really common that it's called The 5 Languages of Love, and it talks about the different ways that we show our partner we love them. And it kind of goes through using words, so telling them that you love them, saying nice things to them, buying them gifts, physical affection, quality time, and it goes through these things, and at some point later in our sessions, if you guys want to keep coming back, I'd love to have you each fill out so you guys can get a better idea of what the type you need is, like if you need more physical affection, you need more gifts, or whatever. I think it's really interesting for couples to do that, because sometimes people don't realize we kind of have these expectations that are set up in our head based on not only what we see at home, but what we see in the media and things like that, and we think, oh, this person should buy me flowers, or this person should be all over me all the time, just kissing and hugging and having sex and this and that. But not everyone's expectations are the same. So it can be nice when you are able to identify what works for you and help each other work towards that.
You're really smart.
I don't know about that, but I'm flattered, and I'm glad that you guys feel like you're getting something out of this today.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way, hon?
Well, I think it's a good idea to find that, that things as, and then maybe we're gonna discuss it next session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys both have a lot of positive things to say about each other.
I'm surprised. You know
really
what?
struck by that.
I have something to say about that. Like, I'm actually really surprised that, like, the fact that I'm like sitting here and like, in just everything that you were saying, it kind of like created like this opportunity for all of it to come out. But I've never experienced that. Like when I'm with you though, like I feel like I never feel the need to like say, like I feel like I'm having like a revelation right now. It's weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't really know like what I'm trying to say, but I feel like us being in this position, like now I'm like, oh, okay, like there are a lot of good things about you, and I probably just don't say them all the time. And I don't know, like anytime we're together, I'm never like compelled to like just say like a lot of the things I've been saying, but am I making any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes, especially when there's like a high level of conflict over something that's so meaningful, such as your parents, not being accepting, I think when there's such a big boulder in the way of all that happiness, it's hard to let that happiness seep through, and sometimes we can let those things drop, those important things like compliments and nurturing and affection. When you get such a big roadblock to that, you know, it's you kind of end up, and I don't mean you personally, but people kind of end up focusing on the negative aspects of things, and we kind of push all that extra stuff that was so easy in the beginning to the wayside.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's kind of happened with you both a little bit? Things change as stuff has become harder with your parents?
Yeah. I think things only are gonna get harder. I mean, I don't mean that to say that this isn't helpful, but I don't know, life is just life's just easier when you're younger, and it's just, you don't know what's ahead of you, and now everything's just kind of sinking in that, I don't know, like, we're not gonna be, I mean, realistically, we're not gonna be what we were, like, when we first met, and, like, we can be in some ways, but it's not, you know, now I just feel like there's so much that we need to think about, like, I think that the longer that you're in a relationship, you need to, like, do more work to sustain it. Like, it's easy in the honeymoon phase when we're all just, like, skipping around, like, you know, loving life, and it's great.
Yeah.
But now, like, I think it's time to get serious, and I just want to know, like, if you're invested in, like, making this work and, like, spending the rest of your life with me. I need to know that.
Wow. It's a big topic to bring up. I'm glad you felt safe and comfortable doing that.
I
And
mean,
you
well,
guys-
like I said, being in
Yeah.
this situation, I feel like I would never ask that if, like, just randomly, like, at home. You know what I mean? I feel like the fact that we're in therapy right now, it's like, that's why I'm asking such a thing.
Have you guys ever talked about that before, spending the rest of your lives together,
I don't
or
think it's ever
increased commitment?
I don't know, I think we should do that, like spending the time for our, you know, spending the time for our lives together. Like, I didn't mention that.
But you've thought about it too, Aisha?
To what?
Have you
Have
thought?
you thought about spending the rest of your life with
Yeah.
Madison?
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to, you know, make my parents understand the fact that I'm lesbian. That's why, because I just want to live my life with her. So
you're saying
I'm making a war between me and my parents just to keep her relationship.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful statement.
Yeah.
How did what you just said make you feel, Madison?
I didn't really expect such, like, as smart as she is and articulate and, like, worldly, and she, you know, she has great, like, she doesn't really say, like, deep, meaningful things like that. But, like, I'm the one that's always, like, making those kinds of, like, really, like, kind of compelling, like, kind of thought-provoking statements. So I just never expected her to like, have that in her to say, or maybe you know, I think maybe, yeah, I could see you having it in you, but you just saying it, because we talk about it all the time, how you need to, like, say more and, like, you know, like, advocate for what you want and your feelings, and so.
It seems like you both have such different communication styles. Sounds like, you know, you're so used to, Madison, you're so used to just coming out and saying what's on your mind, knowing how to deliver things, how to talk about things in a certain way, and Aisha, it sounds like you struggle more with that. But
Yeah,
I really
maybe
feel like you're both on the same page with a lot of stuff.
Maybe she can talk and express her feelings, but if I want to express my feeling, I'm doing some stuff that make her happy. So that's, my feeling is expressed by doing something for you, but your feeling expressed by telling something to me. So I think, you know.
Wow, you're coming up with a lot of really wonderful insight here. I'm really impressed. It's
We're a pretty smart couple.
I would definitely tend to agree with that. So what you said, I want to go back to that about starting a war with your parents because you're so invested in the relationship. To me, that speaks volumes. It sounds like family means so much to both of you, and that you're willing, Aisha, to have that huge conflict with the parents who raised you, who have all these expectations for you, just to have the hope of having a future with Madison.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I said. But at the same time, I just want, you know, to make it easy for my parents to understand
you wish you
my
didn't
situation.
have to have that conflict.
Yeah. And I'm trying just to make my parents happy and understand my situation. As well as I just want her to be happy with the relationship with me. So I'm trying to do balance.
Yeah, It is. I was just going to use that word balance. It's kind of a tough balance, when you feel kind of torn
Yeah.
between the two worlds there.
Yeah.
Which is why I suggested a little earlier in our session. I'm wondering if you guys maybe thought about it or let it simmer a little bit while we took a little break. But I had suggested, maybe you guys could take a brief break, a week or a couple weeks or a month of not worrying so much about your parents, because realistically, as Madison, you've said that you don't think they're going to change very much, and
We should
Aisha,
do
it
that.
sounds like you have some more hope that they'll change, but it's also really stressful for you. And Madison, I think your response, correct me if I'm wrong, was that there are other problems in the relationship besides just the parents. Is that what you said? I just want to make sure.
Yep, I said
So, if you were able to take, I don't know, whatever period of time you guys felt was okay, a week or 2 weeks or a month or something like that, and just not bring up Aisha's parents. Not worry about you dropping by the house, trying to have a conversation with them, and Aisha, maybe you don't have to worry so much for a few weeks about how they feel about you, how they feel about Madison. And if you were able to just concentrate on other things in the relationship and other things in life, what kind of things do you think you'd have more emotional energy for if you were able to set that aside for a little while? What kinds of things would you talk about, handle?
We probably just have to be able to have more like laid back
Mhm.
conversations. We could talk about like politics and the
Mhm.
election, and we can talk about like funny things like our shows and like
Yeah,
inside
maybe funny
jokes.
things.
We have a lot of inside jokes.
It's important to have room for that stuff. Really helps keep your bond strong. Some more laid back, talk about funny things. You mentioned politics.
Yeah.
Do you guys have political leanings in common? Is that something you share?
I'm all about Bernie. I don't know about. You're very influenced by your parents' political views, so you can talk. You can speak on that because.
Well, I do like to talk about funniest things, but I don't like to talk about political things. So I'm not that much political, but
Okay.
I just making something
I
make me happy.
I should rephrase. I like to talk about political things.
Yeah.
And then you just sit there and listen.
What about friends? Do you guys spend time with friends at all?
Yeah, we go to paint night with our friends.
Paint night.
It's
Sounds
funny.
fun.
Because I honestly only started laughing because the last time we went to paint night, I got like really wasted and I embarrassed everybody. But it was actually kind of funny. It ended up being a funny story. It was like I know you were really embarrassed that night, so I'm sorry that I'm bringing that up again. But yeah.
What else do you like to do with your friends?
We go out to dinner. We go out for drinks. We go dancing. We go to like the gym sometimes. I'm also thinking about another funny story about I wasn't drinking this time, but
At the gym, I would hope not.
No, but I was on a treadmill and I just like fell on my face and it was awful. But it was funny. Again, funny stories.
I once had a trainer that made me run backwards on a treadmill, and he had been working me really, really hard, and my legs were about to collapse. And just as I was about to step off the treadmill, I stepped off with one foot, the other one got caught, and I did a split and face planted at the same time. In front of, it was like
that's something that would totally happen to me.
Busy hour at the gym, like I'm talking 6 o'clock, everyone's in the gym after work. I wanted to crawl in a hole and die. It can be pretty embarrassing, but it sounds like you have a sense of humor about your little quirks,
I think that's the thing. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for you, but I think you always liked my sense of humor.
Yeah, I
Just
like
saying. I think I made you laugh that time in Starbucks when I saw you reading the Odyssey. And I made some kind of joke. Like, I forget what the joke was, but it was...
the first time we met.
That was, yeah.
I notice as we're talking about kind of these things that bring you joy and what kind of stuff you'd have more room for in your relationship if you were to kind of put that issue to rest for a little while about your parents. And I see your demeanor change, both of you. You're both smiling, you're both laughing, you're making me laugh. There's a really just positive vibe in the room right now. I really noticed that, and I like that, because I think when you came in here, I could see you both looked tense. You were kind of looking down, at making eye contact with each other, on your phones, stressed. I could feel some anger from Madison and some kind of just reservation from you, Aisha. And seeing you both laugh and express joy, And that was all after I asked the question as to what would it be like if you could take that pressure off. Do you think, after kind of experiencing that good feeling, that it might be a good idea to do a little experiment and see what it would be like if you were to not talk about the parents for a while?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I think so. I think,
Yeah.
I think, like, the whole, like, parent thing was really the driving force about, because, like, thinking about it, I mean, you just have to understand where I'm coming from, like, you know what I mean? I think you do for the most part, but again, and we don't have to go back to where we were at the beginning of this session. We don't have to go back to any of that, because I really want to follow, like, this advice. But you can kind of understand why it would be frustrating for me, because, you know, like, if we have kids someday, it's like I want them to grow up with, like, open-minded family, and I get, you know, every family has one or two people who might not be as accepting of things.
I know that all too well in my own family.
Yeah. So that's just, like, what I envision, like, because I grew up with that kind of mentality, like, you know, with my parents just being so open-minded. Like, I grew up being told that, like, you know, love is love and everybody deserves to be happy no matter what. And I just want to raise our kids with that same mentality. And I'm not saying that we won't. I know that, like, but I just had this vision of, like, all of our family kind of, like, being one unit and kind of being on the same page about everything. But I know that that's not realistic, and I have to accept it. And, like, I think we can just focus on just doing the best we can.
Yeah, I think it's important. And something else I wanted to mention is when I had initially brought up the idea of letting the issue with your parents rest for a while, I noticed, Madison, that you had said, you know, there's other problems in your relationship, and I wanted to mention that, you know, I think any relationship, whether you're coming to therapy or not coming to therapy, I think every relationship has its road bumps and has its big issues. And even though a lot of things you mentioned you'd have time for if you're letting that issue go for a little bit, I think one other thing too that can also be a positive is that this big issue is taking up so much of that space that's devoted to working through things. And if you're always kind of got the shadow of that disapproval kind of hanging over things like a big black cloud, there really isn't any room to work out those other disagreements, like hair in the shower drain, or someone being messy, or someone talking over someone else. It's really hard to deal with those smaller things when there's such a huge thing looming over. Do you think that you might be able to have more productive or more civil conversations about other things if you've got a little less pressure off on the other front?
Maybe. Yeah. And I think we can still, like, I think it's okay for us to still have, like, a little tiffs here and there. I mean, none of us are perfect, but I think it's just, like, the way that we handle it, and, you know, like, the way that we go about it. Like, I think we can still have meaningful conversations that we might not agree on. One of these days I'm going to get you to, like, talk about politics, though, because I just want to, I've always been into politics, but, you know, yeah. No, I'm willing to do what I need to do to keep this relationship at bay.
I think you both are. I really hear that passion from both of you, that you're both very committed. So what I want to do now is we're, like, kind of getting close to wrapping up the end of our session.
Okay.
I want both of you to kind of tell me what your goals are throughout the time we're going to share together. What are some of your goals? And I'd like you each to tell me, and then we can kind of come back together. So Aisha, let's start with you. What are your goals? What would you like to get out of therapy?
Well, I just want my main goal to work hard to, you know, leave this wonderful relationship between us. You know, I would like to set a schedule between me and her, just to have 1 week off. So then
So you want to take, like, a vacation?
Yeah,
for
just,
a week?
you know, no, vacation from our negative thoughts.
Oh.
Okay.
So
I mean, I'm going to say, you know, if you want to go to the Bahamas, I'm not going to, like, you know.
So that would be, so
I mean,
what you mean is that you'd like to take that time to not talk about your parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Either in trip or, you know, just, you know, set our mind to, you know, to just relax and...
Yeah, so take a break from negativity.
Yeah, take a break, yeah.
So what other goals do you have to get out of therapy? What would you hope your relationship would look like after we kind of are able to wrap up all of our sessions at the end of all this? Where would
Well,
you see
now
yourself?
I'm so happy that I came here today just because she understands my opinion regarding her. She doesn't know that before, and when I just tell her how I see her as a person, it's just she doesn't realize that before, but she now knows that. I'm so happy that we talked about it in the therapy session.
So it sounds like you're
And
saying.
also-
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue,
Go ahead.
please. No. Continue.
I'm also happy with the conversation that we had. Just
Good.
she understands me more now. I understand her
Good.
more. So
Yeah. So it sounds like understanding each other better and
Yeah.
increased communication. That's
Yeah.
good. Those are some really good goals that you have.
Mhm.
Madison, what about you?
I think about the same.
Okay.
I would like us to try to fit in, like, I mean, we do, like I said, we go out to eat, we go to paint night and stuff, but a lot of that, like, we do with other people. I would like for us to maybe, like, have some alone time, maybe, like,
Okay.
just kind of, like, one-on-one.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe, like, have her, like, around my family a little bit more.
Okay.
We've been so busy, we haven't been able to see my family, so I think just all of us being together would be fun.
Some more alone time, more family time.
Yeah.
What else? Think about what we could accomplish in here in our sessions. What parts of your relationship would you like to see change? and
Our
improve?
communication, definitely.
Okay.
I think just, like, expressing ourselves in ways where we can, like, hear each other.
Okay.
Not, like, literally, but it's, like, because like Aisha was saying sometimes, and like I was saying, I get very, like, overly kind of excited and overly, kind of passionate about what I'm talking about, and if the conversation's negative, I'll get kind of angry and I'll start, like, yelling, and then she walks away and we just don't get anywhere. So I think just improving our communication and me kind of trying to stay calm and,
That's great. I noticed you guys really have very similar goals for what you're hoping to kind of get out of the therapeutic process. You both really want to improve your communication together, improve the overall feeling of the relationship. I notice you both want to kind of take a little bit of the sting out of things and take a break from the negativity that's been kind of causing problems. And I noticed, Madison, you mentioned more quality time together and also more family time with your family. So it sounds like you guys have some really similar goals for therapy. Does that surprise you at all, or do you feel like that's... Yeah?
And yes and no. Like, I didn't expect everything to be so spot on, like, the similarities. Like, obviously we have our similarities, but I didn't expect for, like, almost that list that we compiled to be identical. Like,
when you're coming in with a lot of conflict, I'm not saying you guys come in with a lot, but when people come in to couples counseling, they don't come because everything's peachy. They come because there's conflict.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I see most often is I see people come in and, they're kind of at each other's throats, so there's this big, huge divide. But going from the beginning of the session to right now, I just see such a calmer vibe between you two, and like a really clear clear and shared goals that you have for the future. I'm really glad to see you guys working together, and I think you've done a pretty stellar job today, kind of coming together, working together.
We did good.
Awesome. You did do good. You deserve a high five and a good meal.
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's wrap it up for today. And I'd like to see you guys again maybe 2 weeks if that works for you.
Does that work?
Yeah.
I might have to find coverage. Again, I had to find coverage for today.
Okay.
To come in here, so
Well,
I should be able to find.
We can work out the
again.
schedule. It doesn't have to be the same time. You can just, give me a call in a couple days and let me know what you're able to work out. And I'm happy to meet with you. If you think you need more, like every week or maybe a little less. But as I start seeing you, maybe every couple weeks would be great. So that way you can maybe let me know. Give you a little homework for the next time. Do you feel like you might be ready to take that little break from talking about the situation with Aisha's parents?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe.
I mean, I'll probably still think about it.
It's okay
realistically.
to think about it. I'm
But
not.
we have time for us.
I'm not asking
Just
you to. I know it's probably going to be impossible to not think about it. But all I'm asking for you guys, is to not converse about it, not let it be this huge part of your conversations or this tension.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't not think about things that mean a lot to us, but we can kind of take a hiatus from pushing the issue, because that's obviously, you know, it's not getting anyone anywhere. So
Right.
between now and 2 weeks when I see you guys, I want you to kind of pay attention to what your relationship feels like in the next couple weeks. And you don't have to, but maybe keep some mental notes or take some actual notes and yeah, report back to me in a couple weeks and let me know how that's gone for you guys.
Yeah,
Okay?
I'll do that.
Alright, well, it was great
Yeah.
meeting you both. I really
You
look forward
too.
to working with you.
Okay.
All right.
Alright.
Thank
See
you.
you later.
Take
See you
care.
later.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.